the soul never die. I'll run my thieves across the pole where the soul never die. His science is life, new joys of hope where the soul never die. No sad farewell, no tear dim eye, where all is love and the soul never die. My life will end in deathless sleep, and the soul never die. And everlasting joys I'll reap, where the soul never die. No sad farewell, no tear dim eye, where all is love and the soul never die. I'm on my way to that frail land where the soul never die. There will be no parting hand where the soul never die. No sad farewell, no tear dim eye, where all is love and the soul never die. Brother Jerry, lead us, please.
Learn more about you, Lord. We just pray, Father, that have fun and enjoy the time and come back again. We just thank you for a great choir, Father, the ones that got great voice, Father, they sing for us each Sunday morning. The time they spend in practice, Father, and learning new songs and all. We just thank you, Brother Jerry and Kay and Jack, and they serve you, Father, and we just pray for the community. Yeah, we just pray for those that those left in the church be touched with some hand, Father. And we pray for each of these guys and Rick, and all we do. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I can't use the pulpit. Okay, so thing about summertime is, and going to summer camp, when you go early, as soon as you get back, all the kids disperse. So we do not have many here tonight to share their testimony. But we do have the ones that are here are good ones to hear testimony from. So I'll start and I'll speak on behalf of our junior high kids first. It was a big week. So the first week, June 7th to the 11th, we went with junior high kids to Austin College. There wasn't anything specific about camp for junior high kids. It's just that that's the way it worked out, is that we had enough kids sign up. I didn't have enough spots at the camp that the high school kids went to, so we split it up and did 2 weeks, and I took the junior high kids, split the high school and junior high kids, and it worked out well this year, and especially for the camp this year and the theme and the way God was moving. It worked well to have a difference between high school and junior high kids, because it would have been hard going through that. Do y'all agree that it would have been hard going through the messages with high school and junior high all together? Yeah. That would have been a difficult thing to do, to kind of, go from a sixth, going into 7th grade to going into 12th grade on the messages. So for our junior high kids, it was huge for them because it was their first week, the first time to really have that amount of freedom in camp, and they learned a lot. As a matter of fact, we got back and said, hey, we started a group chat. So I'd like to continue going through Bible study with y'all, even while I'm at camp with the high school kids. So we started texting, hey, read this passage and do a hear journal. So For those of you who don't know, HEAR is an acronym, and it's a journaling technique. It's highlight, so write down the scripture you're going to be reading. E is explain it, so write a summary of the scripture, and your A is apply, and so how can you apply that scripture to your life? And then R is respond or pray down your prayer. So that's just a way to journal. It's a good way for anybody to journal as they read scripture. And so it was really neat. I started texting them, hey, so we just started with the book of John. I said, read this passage in John. And by the third day, I was the scripture for that day, and they were all like, hey, where's the scripture for today? Like, blowing up my that day. And so they got a lot out of it. We had some kids that went through some really neat classes at the junior high camp. They did sharing your faith and growing your faith and stuff like that, and it was really good for them. Some kids got to come out of their shell that had never done that before. So it was a really good week, the first week. I will go ahead and speak for Megan Kelly. She couldn't be here tonight. She had some other things going on with family. But I do have let me share. Here it is. And Megan had this to say. She said, first of all, pray for her. There we go. Because she is applying to work for Fuge next summer. So she's going to apply to be a Fuge staffer next summer. So she'd be working camps next summer, we hope. I think she would be great at that. She did a fantastic job the 2 weeks that we were there. Because she went on boasted now, I'm sure. And also that she says she's very thankful to have the opportunity to go with the kids to camp, and she loved being encouraged by the kids. And also, I say kids, the high school kids aren't but a year or two different from Megan. But she loved being encouraged and encouraging them. And she did a fantastic job. Megan did a fantastic job of opening up, of teaching, of sharing her testimony. And making it relatable. And God moved a lot through Megan in that. Let's see. And she hopes the kids continue to grow in their walk with Christ. Wants to thank y'all for an encouragement as we did all this. So that's from Megan. Now on to high school. So our high school, we've never done MFuge before. This is our first year ever. I've tried to do it the last 2 years, and here we tried to do MFuge. Lifeway canceled our week without telling me until about 2 weeks before, and so Jerry and I put together something completely different that year. And then last year, obviously, COVID canceled all the camps for the summer. So the past 2 years, we've tried to do MFuge and haven't been able to do that. This year, we were able to do it, and it was awesome. So what MFuge is, so you understand, is camp is an action-packed day from start to finish. So if you go to regular camp, you get up in the morning and you go to you go to breakfast and then morning celebration. And there's a little devotional, but it's a lot of like just waking up and getting the energy going, getting focused on the Lord. Then you go to Bible study and recreation with your small groups. And then after that, you go to lunch and you go to tracks in the afternoon. So tracks are classes. They have tracks like soccer or ultimate frisbee or dodgeball, or classroom tracks like they'll have for girls and for guys only, where they go and they get kind of deep in those kind of classes, or have growing your faith or lifestyle evangelism, sharing your faith, stuff like that. And anyway, so MFuge is different in that you don't do that part of it. MFuge, you go to Bible study in the morning, and you go straight from Bible study to missions. And so you leave at lunch, and you go out on the mission field for the rest of the day. You come back 6:30 one night. The kids were working so hard. And so I'll let them share about that, and I'll come in and share at the end about it. So I don't want to steal their thunder if they want to share. So who wants to share first? No, y'all come on. Y'all need to share your testimony. Come on. It's part of it. That's why we went through heart with y'all instead of here, because you got to tell somebody. So come on, Gracie. Yeah, you can all come at the same time. So y'all all come up here and stand here. I can do that. Okay. So, we'll say this. How would you compare missions to regular camp? Mission Fuse to regular Fuse? Like, for you, what was the days are longer. The days are longer? A lot more tiring. But good tired, right? Good tired in the Lord. You're tired when you get back, but obviously not too tired because we stayed up till 1 o'clock in the morning playing games in the hallway. Anyway.
I felt like usually with centrifuge, I don't need that. I'm loud enough. Okay, yeah. I felt like with centrifuge we really like. So one of the track times is like lifestyle evangelism, and I did that. Was it whenever we went to South Carolina? That was a long time ago, but yeah, a long time ago. And it's like people telling you what to do, but with missions we kind of got to like live it out and be like our own directors.
Okay. So she said you got to speak loud and into the microphone. Not down here. All right. She said with Mission Fuse that a few years ago she took a class called Lifestyle Evangelism, and it's all about living your life in such a way that your life itself is evangelizing. And she felt like this year she got to live it out rather than go and put that to practice. Anybody else want to answer on that about missions?
I don't really remember. I never really went to Central Fuge with Friendship. I went with Bodark, and it was a couple of years ago. I don't really remember it, but I do know it was really moving to go on like missions. It was really how other people live, and it was really sad, honestly. But I'm just glad we were able to help them and stuff. So, yeah.
Where did you go to do missions? Y'all need prompts.
Shady Oaks. It was Mission Arlington, and we went to a apartment complex. It was called Shady Oaks. Sandy Oaks. How much?
What was it?
It was the projects. It was the projects. It wasn't a complex. It was the projects. How many turkeys did we deliver?
700 something.
764. There was a lot of turkeys.
So, all right, tell them, who wants, Lauren, you want to tell them about the first day what we did the first day on mission? The free garage. All right, so I'll tell it. So we'll kind of go through, tell you what, before we get into the missions, let's talk about Bible study. So what did you learn? What was your favorite day, we'll say, of the Bible study part? What was something you took away from that?
When they talk about
Y'all make me look so good.
I was answering.
So,
I don't know what day it was, but well, I just said it. Okay, so I can't remember what day it was, but one day we talked about like how Jesus rose Lazarus from the dead after 4 days, and like how they didn't believe him. And then another day we talked about Mary and Martha, and one of them was cleaning the house and one of them was washing Jesus or talking to Jesus.
so what was significant of those? Not just what did you do, why was that significant? How does that apply to your life?
Well, the Mary and Martha one really applied to me because like I always catch myself like doing things that like are like not necessarily shying away from Jesus, but kind of like not my main focus. Put my main focus on Jesus, and so it teaches me to like sit down and listen.
Anybody else? No? Huh?
I don't know what I'm talking.
There's one more I brought up, this mind-blowing revelation. About the Jehovah Wells.
Oh yeah,
Yep. Okay, so they also studied, and we went over it in depth in our church group time, our time together, where the story from John of Jesus witnessing to the Samaritan woman at the well. And I had a revelation, I think that I don't have to come back to this well. All right, not give me a drink. So she doesn't want to go back to this well where she's going back to this place to fulfill her earthly needs. And so we have those wells in our life, those places that we don't want back to because we have to fill a need in our lives. A need that Jesus could fulfill, but instead we go back to these wells. And so we talked that at night. I don't want to go into it because it's a very personal time, but we did talk very personally about what those wells are for each one of us. And what well do we keep going back to find that temporary fulfillment when we could drink from the living water and have eternal fulfillment. All right, so now, first day of missions. Anybody want to talk about that? Let's get back to missions. Do what? Okay, so
So on the first day, we went to Mission Arlington, and they had so many Bible Quest toys, so many of them. They were in random places. So they gave us everything away before we were even supposed to be done. We were being very efficient that day.
So as we went to this apartment complex, and we set up a free garage sale. We set up a free yard sale, I guess, yard gift. And we went around door to door, meeting people. You want to talk about Nevaeh? Meeting people and seeing how we could fulfill their needs, inviting them to come and look through the stuff we had to see how that could meet their needs as well. And then Gracie met a very special friend.
Okay, so I met this little girl, and her name was Nevaeh, and she was 2 or 3? Either 2 or 3. And so every day I look forward to going to missions because I knew I'd get to see her every day. And then the last day I went and she wasn't there, and it made me super sad. But we with the Bible Quest, so it's the wise men and some camels and some sheep and all them good animals. And so we told her about them. And every time we tried to say that there were 3 disciples, she would hold out 2 fingers. And so she at least got that there were. Oh, I mean wise men. Y'all know what I meant. And then she just kept holding up 2 fingers because I think that's how old she was. And so she's.
Man, that was, we got.
Not that was, tell them what was. What day was it? What did we do?
Wednesday.
The second day, Tuesday, Wednesday, not Tuesday, Wednesday. We delivered 764 turkeys. I'm pretty sure my legs were literally dead. I couldn't really film after that. But we went to how many different apartments? 6 apartment complexes, and that last one we went to was really big. We didn't really go all the way through, but we went to the shady, sandy Hooks, hit every one of those, and then we went on to 2 others, and then, yeah. It was a very long day, really interesting. Me and Tam prayed over one man. He had just had back surgery and lost all his kids, he said, so that was really sad, but yeah.
Okay, so Blake touched on it right there. It's not just that we delivered turkeys. We showed up at Mission Arlington, and they handed us the keys to a box truck and said, look, someone donated these 4 pallets of frozen turkeys, and we need y'all to go and deliver them. Go and just hand them out. Whoever wants them, whoever needs them, however many they need, give these turkeys to people in need. So not only do we do that, but I wish I had the slideshow. I wish I put all that good. Our kids not only did that, but then as they were doing that, they witnessed and ministered to people. We'd look up and they would be praying at the door, praying with the recipients of these turkeys. And when I say they hustled, guys, they worked so hard for the Lord that day. It was hot. I can't even tell you. It was so very, very hot. And we're lugging these turkeys from the truck back and forth into these and our kids did a fantastic job. They represented very well. They never, look, we live behind the pine curtain here. We've never seen poverty like we saw those days. I say we. Our kids especially have never seen that before, for the most part. They have never experienced that. They've never been around housing projects quite like that. And never heard a negative comment. Never heard them say anything discouraging or to any of the residents of these places. They did a fantastic job. And when I tell you they poured into them and they loved on them and they prayed for them, they really did a fantastic job of really showing Christ's love to all the people in all these apartment complexes. And it was hot. And it's not easy to be pleasant when it's 100 degrees with a heat index of like 107 and you're running back and forth lugging turkeys. But they really were. They did a fantastic job. Luckily, we had Reina because I did not know the Spanish word for turkey. I do now. So all I could say was pollo largo, as close as I could get. Reina was with us, so she was able to translate and then take that and translate back to us and help minister and pray for and witness to some of the families that only spoke Spanish. And it was really neat. And in doing that, we picked up some more friends. At the second apartment complex we went to that day, they went around and helped us. So it's a little 3 or 4 little boys and a little girl went around and helped us deliver turkeys from that apartment, from the second apartment complex we went to. And the kids really did a good job of ministering to them and loving on them. And then, like I say, we went through just one right after the other. And that day, I'm telling you, by the time we got done, I know I was to the point of heat exhaustion where I was getting a little from just being hot. And I think we went through the entire 5-gallon bucket, like the 5-gallon cooler of water we had, and then some in the bottles of water, case of water we had. But they did a fantastic job that day. And then the next day, Tammy and Jerry, so that day we met up with a lady that, I'm still hear from her just about every day, Miss Marilyn. Made contact with her the day we were giving out turkeys. She needed some turkeys for her and some friends. And so she needed some help getting a bed to her house. She had bought a bed from another location, from a store, and didn't have a way to get it delivered. And so I was like, you know what, we can do that. So we're trying to figure out how can we squeeze that into the schedule. So we called her, followed up. So we called Mission Arlington, the organization that, said, hey, we want to go back to Sandy Oaks, the first apartment complex we went to, and follow up with the people that we've made contact with. There's somebody that needed our help. Are y'all okay with that? And I said, look, that's what we had planned for you to do anyway. So ain't God good that he had planned for them the same plan we had, even though I thought, hey, I'm asking for a lot here for us not to show up this third day. So they had planned for us to go back to the same apartment complex and pass out these flyers for VBS and go around and minister to people and do some kid interaction. And we needed to go back to that same place. So we went and we were able to go pick up a bed and take it to the bed she had, and somebody else in the same apartment complex needed it. And so it just, God had all this stuff worked out, all these seemingly disconnected points that came together on Thursday for us to finish out strong and really witness to several people, especially Miss Marilyn. And so, follow up, I think we all have Miss Marilyn's number now, and we exchanged pictures, and hopefully we're going to go back to on just a mission trip, no camp part this fall or around Christmas time. We're going to go back to Mission Arlington, and I told Miss Marilyn that whenever we do, she's coming out to eat with the family. All right? She's coming out to eat with the whole church, and we're going to take her out and enjoy her company a little bit. So that's the mission side of it. All right. What about and ministry?
Okay, so I've been back there with Sebastian and them helping the soundboard, and when I got to church, their soundboard there, it kind of just made me it made me happy for some reason, but it was just so ginormous. There were so many lights. It was greatness. They had so many cameras. It was pretty cool. It was really cool. The worship service was really great. I loved their band. It was really fun, and yeah, I just loved that. It was awesome.
So one of the worship leaders was actually our church group host the first week. His name is Daniel, and he has his own signature dance move where he hops around playing the electric guitar. So I'll put a hole in this floor. So the first week we had a different camp pastor who had a very different approach, but I'm glad we had the camp pastor we had the second week. So the first week we had a pastor who he was very relatable for our junior high kids. Our camp pastor was a little different. Lucas Pinkard. Lucas Pinkard was his name. So do y'all want to talk about the messages at all and how those messages worked for you? So Lucas took us to a deeper level and a little bit of apologetics, and got on the teenagers level and explaining not just how, just that we do this, but why. So we interrogate our faith and we answer the why question. Why do we trust? So let me see. Why is Jesus our refuge? Why can we trust that God's with us? Why can we trust that God is faithful and that we can put our future in Him and our hope in Him? And why can we rest in God? Those were the 4 nights of themes of the week, the 4 key ideas were that God is our refuge, God is with us, God is faithful, and God can give us rest. It all comes from Psalms 46, which is a beautiful passage. Did y'all get that? Did y'all get anything out of Psalm 46, or do you remember that 46 Psalm was? Okay. Okay. So anything specific that spoke to you about Lucas's testimony and his messages throughout the week?
I remember the first day he was talking about how he's going to go off to be, he was super skinny, weighed like 100. How much did he weigh? Do you remember? He was really light, and he was going to be one of the a bodybuilder, and then he tore his ACL, and he showed us the video. And I just remember that for some reason, and yeah, what he talked about.
How did the Lord work through that?
It made him become a preacher, and that's that's all I remember. But I remember him talking about that he was going to be a bodybuilder and he was going to be this big person, and then he decided to become a preacher. God spoke to him. Huh? I didn't remember that.
Okay, so nothing else that really spoke to y'all. So you want to talk about how that connects to you? All right. So some of it's a little personal. We'll say that, and the connections are a little personal. So he really shared deep in his testimony, and a definite string of struggle with mental health. And that's the reason that I'm glad we separated junior high and high school, because there's a very different approach in our private church group time with the junior high compared to the high school. We're talking about mental health and our struggles with that. And so one night, it went just completely over the junior high kid's head one night. So one kid, he had the courage to, as we were talking, Megan and Joey and I all shared, and our church group host shared his testimony as well, and our struggles with anxiety and the way that presents and stuff like that, and how to kind of overcome that anxiety a little bit. And Camp with us, he's 6th grade, going to 7th grade, raises his hand. He's like, I hate to say this, but I don't know what y'all are talking about. And so that took a lot of courage. It sounds silly, but it took a lot of courage for him to sit there and not just nod along, but to say, look, I'm lost. I don't know where we are. Not necessarily that I'm lost in the Lord, but that I'm lost in this conversation. And so there was no way there would have been enough time in a day if I'd taken junior high and high school all together to one camp this year for that to happen. So for us to have a conversation with 6th and 7th graders, or 7th and 8th graders as they're going into, versus high school kids, and go through those experiences. Now, hopefully, those come back, and as these younger kids begin to experience these things, now that has been worked out, the older kids will be, that's our goal, that's what I hope for. But guys, pray for our youth, without going into detail, are, like I say, very personal to every one of them, different ways, but they all struggle, and it's just getting worse. It's not just our youth, that these things